Hari Om Tat Sat. Mandukya Upanishad. Let us begin with the prayer.
Bhadram Pashyema Kshabhirya Jatra Sthirairangaistushtuvansasthanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashrabaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarsho arishthanemihi Swasti no bruhaspati dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So we were studying the word apart from. And that word and that statement need to be so engraved in us that we think nothing but that. And some point in time, with the divine grace, we'll come to realize it. So, chain does not have its existence. Bangles do not have their existence. And the ring does not have its existence apart from gold. You and I, we do not exist apart from Brahman. So to say, you and I and Brahman are not separate. Nothing is apart from. That point could be a brilliant and most summarized fundamental truth behind Mandukya Upanishad. We'll come to it in a few more minutes about Omkar. But this point need to be so much contemplated upon. And since all that exists or do not even exist, all is nothing but manifestation of Brahman. And the in material world, you could see the gold, you could feel the gold, you can understand the gold. But gold is just an objective example with which our great masters, Rishis, were making some effort in explaining to us. But Brahman it does not have any physical shape, it does not have any name, and it's beyond time and space, and has no characteristics, so to say. Later on, we'll learn Satchit Anand, but right now, just understand this. So once again, very, very important point, and that is everything that exists is not apart from Brahman. And Hence, not apart from me, there are no two. Two mean Dvaita. Dvaita, they are not separate. As soon as gold is taken out, there is no manifestation like necklace, bangles, or rings, or any other instrument. So, world apart from and Advaita. So with this, sadhaka, the aspirant, the seekers, have to so firmly learn, what am I seeking? In the temple, in the churches, synagogues, religious spaces. At the same time, what you have here is what you have there, because there is nothing apart from. So to say, if you could go to the temple, well and good. If you could go to this temple, well and good. Or anything around. And that is where, by one of the very famous and dear words, Isha Vacha Idam Sarvam. So you understand, no matter which Upanishad you take, it is leading to the same thing. Now, we learned that we could not feel, sense gold unless it is manifested. So when we see the beautiful necklace, that is when we see the world. That is when we see the gold. So when we see each other, we see no apart from Brahman. I will not like to use the word God, because that leaves us with different impressions. And Brahman is a Vedantic word. It may mean the same thing, but our word God has been so engraved in us that we feel them to be of some human form. And once we know human form, it can be Ram, it can be Christ, can be Buddha. As soon as you have that, that means limitations. Because those who have learned and have understood Krishna to be God, they will not think Christ to be the God or Buddha to be God. And even if they momentarily accept, but then they will definitely know that Krishna is separate from you. You are not the Krishna. Christ is different from you. He's apart from you. So you understand, so-called organized religion, how they have given us the limitations, all pervading reality. Brahman. No matter which shape you take it. Even if you may have a nose ring or ear ring, still it is gold. Whether you take a little puppy, or you take a flower of rose or lotus, or even a blade of grass, they are not apart from Brahman. So in the morning or at night, whatever we do, we rather remind yourself that our sadhana, our contemplation, our services should be no other than to remind ourselves there is nothing apart from Brahman. And even if you think it is a little too long, just remember the word Advaita, non-dual. Non-dual. Now, since that word we are understanding, so you can imagine our Jagruta Sthiti, all the experiences in the alert state, all those experiences, they show some manifestation, some appearances. And all that appearances, like bangle necklace, ring, they all are nothing but because of the gold. Entire Jagruta Sthiti, all the objects that we see, we feel, we experience, we smell, we touch, they are not apart from. I'm going to pound upon that word apart from, and immediately I will say, but wait. That need to be so often thought of. And in not understanding, we may be drifted into silence. And when we are drifted into the silence, we come to know that all that manifestation, they come out of silence. Entire Omkar is coming from silence, stillness. And as a result, Yoganand Paramham says, stillness is the altar of divinity. Stillness is the altar of divinity. Altar, shrine. So understand where we are running, what we are chanting, what musical form we give, whereby I'm not saying don't chant, but even while chanting, in that chant, in those words, could we see? Nothing is apart from Brahman. And the awake state is major part of our experience, major part of our life. And that whole experiences, or the collection of the experiences, we have defined just by one letter, Jagruta Sthiti. So that letter now is not separate from Om, and is not separate from the silence, because that's where it comes from. Very, very important and hard to understand. So, our Jagruta Sthiti is an inseparable part of reality. It is an inseparable part of Brahman. It is not apart from Brahman. So, at the time whenever we chant Om, it is not you lengthen or U or Ma, or say loud or otherwise. Even if you think of are you seeing the entire I don't want to use the word picture, but collection is also not the right word. But you understand the entire texture of Brahman. It is not apart from. And as soon as I say Jagruta Sthiti, then you think, he said only Jagruta Sthiti. What about the Swapna Sthiti? That means we have not understood the word apart from. It will puzzle us so much because our mind is so full of logic. We cannot understand that a part is not different from the whole. Another bold statement that all mathematicians will disagree, all students of science and logic will disagree. How could a part be equal to the whole? That will lead us to the clarity of understanding Om Purnamada. Every sloka is so powerful, and which is beyond the logic. Once again, the word will come. Nothing is apart from Advaita. So the letter A, and for that part of reality, the masters have given us a word that part, just to understand that, Vaishwanara. So the Brahman element pertaining to Jagruta Sthiti has been given the name Vaishwanara. So far, so good. Let me take you now. Whatever I think I tried to explain is in the sloka number 9, or I think 9. Let me take you that and just understand word by word. Yeah, yeah. Matra apte tvad va apnotiha vai sarvan kamadishya bhavati ya evam ved. Now, kicking, sorry, because of this you couldn't see fully. All right. Jagrita sthano vaisvanaro akara prathama. That is, prathama, the first letter, and that is the first step. So Jagruta Sthiti is we are studying first, and it also pertains to akara, out of om, uma. Matra te adin tvad va apnotiha vai sarvan kaman dishya bhavati ya evam ved. Jagrata sthana, having the sphere of activity as waking state. What do you mean by sphere of activity? Whatever you could do is when you are alert, when you are awake, that stage is called Jagrata sthana. It is called Vaishwanara. Okay. Vaishwanara, the Virat multi-dimensional. Akara, Prathama. Pratham Akara, that is the first the letter is the first letter of Om. Akteya, on account of its all pervasiveness, once again, it is not apart from this, but itself is also not wholly, because we need to understand u, and ma. We need to understand Jagrata Sthiti, Swapna Sthiti, and Sushupti. Okay, well, Adimatvat, or being the first or primary, Apnoti Havai, he surely attains Sarvan Kaman, Sarvan, all Kaman, desires. Adi, the foremost, Cha Bhavati, and so it stays upfront, or it is the first one, and becomes that evam, thus Veda meditates or knows. Veda has various meaning. Veda, this is not just the textbook Veda. Veda means to experience. Veda means to, it is said, that means that's the reality, all those words. Now let's see what the translation says. He who is Vaishwanara, having for a sphere of activity, the waking state is the first letter of Om. On account of its all pervasiveness, or on account of being the first, these two are the common features in both. One who knows this surely attains the fulfillment of his desire and become the first or the foremost among all. Why do they say the first one? Because of letter A, and because of Swapnasati, we don't remember, we don't feel it, we do not experience. So the Jagruta Sthiti is considered to be the first part of our sadhana and to understand. Now, let me take you to the second state, Swapnasthana Tejasa Ukaro Dvitiya Matra Utkarsat Upayat Vadot Karshati Ave Gnana Santatim Samanasya Bhavati Nasya Brahman Vitkule Bhavati Ya Evam Veda. Let me go a little bit on the Swapna Sthiti, and this is recognized by the word Tejas. Swapna Sthiti is equally a stage of manifestation and our field of activity. Field of activity, it is slightly different from that of Jagruta Sthiti. Over here, you are the one, you are the center figure which experiences everything. Hold on, let me get out from here. Swapna Sthiti is also not apart from Advaita. The only thing is, we are not really during that stage conscious of Brahman. But we will, within a week or two, will come to know the exact, not exact is not the right word, some suggested method of sadhana as to how to contemplate on this process of meditation, process of contemplation, process of feeling Advaita. The dream state is represented by the letter Ukar. And we have studied what is Ukara, what is dream state. It almost looks like alert state or the awake state. But when we just come out of the dream state, that is when we think, oh, it was a dream. It wasn't the Jagruta Sthana. So Tejasa is the reality, a part of the reality, so to say, or to differentiate something like from, it is not necklace, but it is bangles. Different. But still, it is not apart from. And when we see the awake state, dream state, or the deep sleep state, all the three makes our life. There is nothing else beyond it. There is no fourth step. But in all those three stages, what prevails is Brahman. Because why? Brahman is not apart from Jagruta Sthiti, Akara. It's not separate from Swapna Sthiti, Ukara, and we'll come to know about the third state, deep sleep. So that and the third state will be represented by Makara. So the part of the sadhana we will talk about as to what could be the process of contemplation. Each one we may have our own, but still little guidance will help us. So at least we are learning this word every day, every moment, whenever you find time, and no matter what you do, nothing is apart from. There is nothing holy, and there is nothing unholy. There is nothing like divine, and there is nothing like undivine, if I may use the word. There is no papa, there is no punya. There is no hell, there is no heaven. So lovely. Uma. Phenomenally beautiful, dear friends. Keep on contemplating. Nothing is apart from. The person you love the most is not apart from. Person you hate the most is also not apart from. When that clarity will come, could you ever be angry? Or could you ever be mentioning, declaring that I love you the most? Apart from. And with this view in mind, when we say namaste, do we have that clarity that there is nothing apart from, nothing advaita? We do whatever you want to do to calm your brain down, to calm your mind down. But then when you are in the state of silence, what we need to have this repeated reminder, the word Advaita. Let us read the so-called translation of this stanza 10. Can you read it? If you don't, then say, he who is Tejasa, having for his sphere of activity in the dream state is U, the second letter of Om. On account of superiority or on account of being in between the two, between the Jagruta Sthiti and the deep sleep. He who knows thus heightens to a superior knowledge and becomes equal to all and finds no one in his line of descendant who is not a knower of Brahman. So to say, it is not the Jagruta Sthiti being and being the first is important. And it is also not the Swapna Tejasa being U and the second is less or more important than deep sleep. Everything, because moment when we use the word superior and inferior, or first, second, and third, that means you are treating each one separate, apart from. Let me now the Susupta Sthana. Susupta Sthana, Pragno, Makar Tritiya Matra, Miter Piterva, Minoti Hava Idam, Sarvam Pitischa Bhavati, Ya Evam Ved. Susupasthana, deep sleep state. It is called prajna. And at the time when we were studying the susupti, it is almost like Brahman, but it's not quite. And the reason is because the awareness does not exist. So, Makara, the letter M, Tritiya, third one, M is the third letter, being a measurement of or the state of dissolution, Minoti Hava, he knows this identity indeed. Idam sarvam, these all, apiti, being the cause of the world, cha bhavati, and it becomes yaha, the one who, evam, thus, Veda, knows. So even the letter ma, or awareness of susupti, it will take quite time, or maybe sometime never, to learn and understand the susupti sthana, because susupti sthana, when you are in susupti, you don't know. And as soon as you come out of susupti, you are either in the dream state or in the Jagruta sthiti. So it is extremely hard to impossible to know this. But at least you come to know later. But still, the silence or the susupti sthana, dreamless state, is also the part of your experience. Makara is the part of Omkara. And then it leads you to the state of silence. And that state of silence, which is the Turiya state, and the Turiya state lets you let you realize the gold or the Brahman. So what is important is whenever we are passing through the Jagruta sthiti, all of what you are doing, you carry on. Whether you may be driving a car, you may be taking a shower, you may be eating, all is Jagruta desire, karma. Everything is nothing but a manifestation of akara. And if each and every one is not apart from, same way, the ukara, which is swapna sthiti, whatever you experience in this is also not apart from, not Advaita. And when we're talking about deep sleep, any part of your sleep happens to be that too is Makara, the third letter, and Ma makes up Om and followed by silent. That is the completion of Om, and that is nothing but not apart from reality, Brahman. Let us just, I don't feel like talking much, but at the same time, I was so much overjoyed with this and these three stages that we'll talk about the Turiya, the gold, the Brahman next week. And for the time being, let us enjoy a few chanting of Om. And we'll end with Shantipat.
Bhadram Pashyema Kshadiryajatraha Sthirairangaisthushtuvansasthanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashrabaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Bruhaspati Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti